In the words of Ron Burgundy, boy, that escalated quickly. Season 2 was supposed to be a 4 to 6 episode sprint, but then the ideas wouldn't stop coming. 6 episodes turned into 8, 8 into 10, and, thanks to a special bonus, episode 9.5, I closed out Season 2 of Rebuilding Rob the podcast with 12 episodes of breaking things down and building them back up. I didn't plan on being back behind the microphone this soon, but life has a way of crescendoing just when you think you've reached the final note. So, here we are, Season 3. I'm calling this episode The Cape. And no, I'm not talking about the hammy comic book trope version of a superhero. Well, actually, maybe a little bit. Okay, more than a little bit. As an English teacher, I'm obsessed with the iconography of the Cape. It's a literary shorthand for something more. Look at the spectrum. You've got the Superman cape, the symbol of hope, the aspirational hero soaring above the noise. You've got the cloak of levitation from Doctor Strange. That cape is a sentient being that chooses its master. But the one that really speaks to me, the one cape that resonates with the philosophy of Rebuilding Rob, is the mantle of Batman. Batman doesn't wear the cape because he wants to be worshipped. He wears it because he is the only one willing to shoulder the burden when no one else will. In the comics, it's not a costume. It's an enormous weight. It's a commitment to be the person who shows up when it's easier to walk away. Historically, the cape and the pedalamentum of the Roman commander wasn't for show either. It was a signifier of tactical vision. It was worn by the person who had to stand on the hill, see the whole battlefield, and make the call that saved the crew. This past Saturday, I'm on stage at graduation. The ritual is there. The caps, the gowns, the pomp, and the circumstance. You know the one. Do 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 do. But behind the scenes, it's a mess. There's no clear direction, no operational command. Thankfully, most of my coworkers, the ones who are actually in the trenches with me every day, have done this enough that we basically know how to run the show ourselves. But then there's our principal's speech. You're watching the leader of the school struggle to hold it together, making the ceremony about her own emotions, making it her own moment. Oh, I need you to just catch my breath. Oh, I'm okay. And all around me, I'm seeing my colleagues, the people who do the actual grind, realizing the same thing that I am. This isn't about her. It's about the students. It was the moment I realized that you can have the title, the office, and the microphone, but if you don't have the presence to center the mission on others, you're just a person in a costume. I realized then that I wanted the cape, and I want to wear it differently. But it wasn't just one day. It certainly wasn't just our graduation ceremony. It's the small stuff that shows the true character of leadership. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, when we didn't get jack shit from our principal. Not even a text saying, "Hey, happy Teachers Appreciation Week. You're appreciated." I'm still perplexed by the Chick-fil-A fiasco. We had a plan, we had staff ready, and we had students waiting. When the order was botched, it wasn't about the chicken. It was about the lack of process, the lack of follow-through, and the choice to just abandon the mission. I stood there watching the wheels come off the wagon, and I realized someone has to be the one to hold the line. I remember running into Walmart just after the whole Chick-fil-A order was botched. My principal asked me to pick up some ice. My head was still spinning from the chaos. I was standing in the parking lot, and it just hit me with absolute clarity. I'm done watching from the sidelines. I'm not just going to complain about leadership anymore. I'm going to fill the gap. That was the day that I decided I was going to get my administrator certificate. When I look at those moments, I don't see a bad person. I see someone who didn't have the tools or the grit for the environment. And that's when the mind scramble stops and the clarity sets in. I can do this. I can handle the logistics. I can own the outcome. And I can respect the people who do the work. I've spent the past year in the trenches with my classroom partner, who I'll call Sparky. Now, this is the first time I've actually shared a classroom with another teacher since my days in Detroit, so this is a little bit of a change for me. Anyway, Sparky and I had this running joke. Actually, it was half joke, half serious. Whenever things got a little chaotic in the building, or I could hear kids goofing around in the halls, I would point to the four walls of our classroom and I would just say, at the end of the day, all we can be responsible for is what happens within this perimeter. But watching the chaos in the halls, I realized that the four-wall approach wasn't enough. It wasn't just my classroom anymore. It was the environment we were all being forced to work in. People keep asking, Rob, how did you get here? 2 months ago, the idea of being a principal sounded like a nightmare to me. But then I looked at the last 1,000 days of Rebuilding Rob. This wasn't just about blogging. It was about building a steel spine. It was about learning to trust my gut, like when I walked away from a relationship that was going in circles, only to find my instinct was 100% correct. That level of self-trust, that ability to read a situation without needing external validation, is what an administrator actually needs. I don't need the plaque to tell me who I am. There's a built-in power to the principal's seat. The letterhead, the plaque, the announcements. But I've learned the hard way that the plaque on the wall is just that. It's plastic if you don't have the spine to back it up. I've watched leadership fail because it lacked the steel, or the ability to be strong enough to be gentle, the courage to enforce a boundary, and the tactical vision to see past the immediate chaos. I have the grit, and I know where to go to get the tools. Now, I'm not arrogant enough to say that I'm ready to take the helm tomorrow, but I'm self-aware enough to know that I have more leadership capacity than the people currently occupying the office. I know what it's like to be the one on the ground doing the work. It's about time. I'm coming for the cape. This episode of Rebuilding Rob, the podcast, was produced, edited, written, and hosted by yours truly, your favorite blogger, a guy named Rob. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I'm well aware that, like me, you have a ton of podcast listening options, so I'm honored that you decided to take a little bit of time out of your day to spend here with me. Rebuilding Rob, the podcast, is available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Of course, you probably figured that out already, or else you wouldn't be listening to me right now. If you're interested in more insight into this perfectly ordinary, non-governing white guy, feel free to check out my blog at rebuildingrob.com. So until next time, this is Rob, reminding you to be audacious, be bold, be brave, be strong enough to be gentle, and remember, the rebuild never ends. Bye, everybody.